Part B, testing. Yeah, testing. Here's what the deal is on that testing. Remember, he said to not deal with testing. Why? Well, the CDC and the WHO claim that the virus wreaks havoc on the nervous systems of a large percentage of people, causing long term neurological problems and brain damage. But given the nature of the test, is it the virus or the test itself? Many of the tests, all of them using the extra long Q-tips or swabs, take their samples from an area of your skull called the cribriform plate, which is a millimeter thick, I guess that number 0.039 inch bone. And it's going to that number is going to be relevant in a few frames. At the top of the nasal cavity that is perforated with many holes that open directly into the brain cavity. These are the holes that your olfactory nerves pass through like a screen door. There it is. Okay, I'm going to show you it in proximity in another way. Here, look at it right there. You see where it's located? Now you see the perforation in the green. I'm hoping that you can see it there. The perforation in the green, that's where they actually swab. But because it is there, you see it, there's nothing covering it right into the brain cavity. They can actually place something there rather than take something from there. And of course, this was actually brought to bear by other people that made a lot of sense to me because knowing certain parts of the sinus cavities, a lot of people who have, say, problems with allergies and so forth, they have an accumulation of etheric energy around that place there that has to do with thought processes. And it's right there next to the frontal lobe, which is very devastating because that's the place where you do all of your higher thinking, where all of your higher spirituality is processed. It's in the frontal lobe. So what do? They take it and they go all the way back. But look at what they're doing, family. They're showing you in the graphs that it's going down the throat. They take it down into the throat instead of up. Notice that every one of them, because they know it's wrong, every one of these long strokes are not actually going, they're not showing you the proper, what do I call this, example, I guess? Yeah, they're not showing you a proper example of what they are actually doing. Here's what they're actually doing. Does that look at the angle of the man's hand that's going up this brother's nose? Did it look anything? Look at his name. Did it look anything like that? It's going in a completely different direction. Okay? Now, look very carefully. If you wanted to brand or virtually impregnate someone by implanting a clandestine genetically engineered bioweapon via the mucous membrane or the brain, as well as nanoparticles or a nanochip, this would be the perfect place to do it. As the perfect secondary vector for whatever else they wanted to implant, this method is ideal because of its almost immediate access to the brain with practically no hope of removal. But again, practically no hope of removal. Once they put it in there, you'd have to have brain surgery to get it out. Now, I've had calls from people complaining that the test was extremely painful, some having had nosebleeds, with the pain lasting several days, a few temporarily losing their sense of smell. Are the tests that penetrate that deeply into the nasal cavities a real COVID test? Okay, now, listen carefully. A fact check. This was fact checked by a woman named Camille Caldera when the guy put out the information about whether or not that place at the cribriform can be penetrated. Of course, right away, when that went viral, USA had to come with a response. The claim, why does the COVID test require a swab so far back into the nose? Is it implanting somebody? This is what they came out with. In a July post on his name, David D. Smith questioned why COVID tests do not swab the mouth, noting that the virus is spread in microscopic saliva particles and that cheek swabs are often used for other tests like DNA tests. Modern science can take a swab from the inside of your cheek and do a complete DNA mapping, Smith wrote. If this COVID-19 is so contagious that tiny microscopic particles of saliva in your mouth could spread out in excess of 6 feet, and you need to wear a mask to stop the spread, why not swab the inside of your highly contagious mouth? Smith also speculated that rather than retrieving a sample, nasal COVID-19 tests could actually be implanting something. Now, of course, they got to state what is going on and then refute it. They always got their fact checkers that they hire. The claim, diagnostic tests for COVID-19 must be performed on the respiratory tract. Of the 5 acceptable specimens for initial testing listed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 4 are nasal or nasopharyngeal specimens, which test the nose, the throat, and the nose or nose and the throat, respectively. I'm sorry. The 5th type, listen, or oropharyngeal specimen is not recommended by the CDC. I wonder why, but is acceptable and swabs the throat and tonsils. Now, why do they want all 4 to go up in the nostrils, so close to the brain? You have to understand that there is something else afoot. A fact sheet, and this is what I found, a fact sheet from the Office of Assistant Secretary of Health, because I went to find out more on this, states that nasal sampling is, quote, less invasive and results in less patient discomfort than alternate sampling site. Are you kidding? Going up into somebody's nose and shoving it up against the cubiform plate and people coming out with pains in their nostrils? Are you kidding? The tests are intended to identify genetic material of the virus according to the Food and Drug Administration. To diagnose COVID-19, the swab must collect the virus from the nose or throat. The larger the surface area swabbed, listen, the more likely it is the swab will collect any virus present in the nose and throat. So the larger the surface area, did you see the surface area that they were going up in? When they were going up against that area, where the brother you saw. The larger the area, the more you have a chance to collect any type of virus. So I'm showing you the difference. You're looking at the difference of this poor man going through this test, and there's what his throat look at the size of that area. You can go back there and you can put a whole God knows, you could put a gigantic Q-tip and swab that mouth. Look at the size of the mouth. You see what I'm saying? It's not logical unless there is some kind of underlying situation. Now, where did I go? Of course I went. I went and I researched. That's what everybody here should be doing. This is what you have the chance to do. So what did I do? I went to the office of the secretary and found out for myself. What did I find? Of course, here's what I found. The procedure for nasal or anterior nasal samples is as follows. Using a flocked or spun polyester swab, insert the swab at least, listen, 1 centimeter or 0.5 inches. And I measured these myself, family. I measured them myself inside the nostril. 0.5. This means it's right around the damn rim. Okay? This is what they're telling you on the site. And firmly sample the nasal membrane by rotating the swab and leaving it in place for 10 to 15 seconds. Sample both nostrils with the same swab. Okay, what did they say? 1 centimeter or 1/5 of an inch. Holy mackerel. Well, what do we get? Here I did, this is me doing my own thing. I say, okay, let's just test this out. If you were on my computer, you would see that I actually tried to put together a schematic I have a big screen. So I put together a schematic and measured the 5 inch, the 0.5 centimeters in there. So I fed the average length of a male's nose. This is the male. I went and I researched what was the average length of the adult male's nose. It's about 5.8 centimeters, and the adult female's nose length is usually around about 5.1 centimeters. The length and width of a nose increase with age. Okay, so what is it? 5.8 centimeters, and I'm using a male, is 2.2 inches. Okay, so what did I do? Again, I've taken a piece of what you read from the CDC and I've put it there. What is the word anterior? Of course, you see the word here inside. It means in front of. Okay, thank you, Mama. Now, here's my little schematic. All right, so what it is, they said 2.3 inches, that's what it becomes, because 2.29 means rounds off to 2.3. So I say, okay, this man's nose is 2.3 inches in length. All right, so what did I do? I did my research and saw exactly how much 0.05, and there you see it, 0.45 inches inside the nostrils. Following me? Check. That's how far up the swab should have gone. Okay? Also, 0.3 inches, all right, if you're dealing with, I guess, the ladies. So, why are we ending up all the way down this man's nostrils when the protocols for taking a sample from the nose is barely getting past the point where your nostrils are? Something else is the foot, family. That's why the doctor was so adamant about telling you not to get tested. This is the way that they're spreading it. Okay? I hope you've seen this. And I just want you to see the schematics, and there it is. There it is, the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Health. It's on his or her website, SARS-CoV fact sheet. Using the flood, the procedure for nasal or anterior sampling is as follows. Family, there it is. Why are they taking it and going all the way down into your throat? They're telling you what it is for the fact this is COVID-19. Here they are telling you right there on the site what it is that the test is supposed to look like. Yet still, they're going all the way up. Oh, down. No. But they're showing you how, yeah, you're right. I should have said up. Thank you. But I mean, you saw the pictures of them shoving it down the nose and I guess going down into the palate. It's sick. Okay. Why? Well, testing cases equal numbers. Numbers equal probable cause. Probable cause equals contagibility. Contagibility is proof positive. Proof positive equals draconian lockdown. Ultimate goal, the socioeconomic, political, cultural, mental, and psychospiritual implosion of the United States of North America. I hope I'm getting through, family. What I say is that the COVID con is that the testing is the real pandemic. They are actually testing cases, and they're using those numbers to keep you in lockdown because you don't study. You don't look into the facts. You don't study behind it. They can play us because they've dumbed us down over the last 25 years of feminism. They've changed the curriculum from one that you have to study, you have to research, you have to learn how to write a proper sentence without abbreviating like they do when they talk on texts. You have to be able to articulate and be able to go into a discussion with facts and understand what they used to call the liberal arts, understanding how to write a proper sentence, understanding how to articulate a point, how to diagram a sentence and know exactly what to use where.